So in today's video, I'm going to give a short summary of the Huberman Lab podcast, where it gives an explanation of how dopamine works and how you can use your knowledge of how dopamine works to overcome procrastination. Now, I found this podcast super interesting because I never knew how dopamine works. Actually understanding how it works allows me to overcome the procrastination that I've been dealing with. I've always, since I was younger, struggled with procrastination. I'm sure everyone does. And if I had known this when I was younger, I would have been able to actually get a lot more done, because you just know how your body works better, and actually understanding how your body works allows you to find tools for yourself to actually overcome this. And so I'm going to explain today in this video how dopamine works and 2 different tools you can use to reset your baseline and actually overcome procrastination. So what is dopamine? Dopamine is just a motivational chemical in your brain. And so usually we have this healthy baseline level of dopamine, and when we get a desire, our level of baseline increases. So we get this peak in dopamine as we desire something. So that desire could be food, could be a notification on your phone, an attractive person, it could be drugs or alcohol, some sort of desire that causes a peak in our level of dopamine. Now, once this peak is hit, there's a lowering of the level of dopamine in our brain, and this is called a trough, where it goes below baseline, and this causes motivation. We create a bucket of motivation. As the dopamine goes down and back up, this bucket causes motivation and gets us to take action to go after the desire. So knowing this, how dopamine works, we can figure out how we can have a high level of baseline dopamine, and we can figure out how we can create a big enough bucket of motivation through the trough to get us to take action. Now, the first tool we can use to overcome procrastination is we want to have a healthy baseline level of dopamine. As you can see, if you have an old baseline that's high and your current baseline is lower, when you get that desire and you get that peak in dopamine, it's not even near the old baseline. So it's going to be harder to get that motivation to go and overcome the procrastination. So we have to try and reset our level of baseline level of dopamine, increase it back to our old level, because usually throughout the day, if you're doing constant activities that are increasing your dopamine, it's going to not be able to replenish quick enough, and your baseline is going to start lowering. And now some tools you can use to increase your baseline level of dopamine is to get quality sleep. It allows your body to recover and get ready for the next day. You want to eat some foods with tyrosine in your diet, which helps create dopamine. So things like plums and cheese. You can just Google different foods with tyrosine. Second is getting morning sunlight for 5 to 10 minutes every day. Helps with the circadian clock, helps you wake up and helps you get better sleep, which helps with resetting your level of baseline of dopamine. Getting daily exercise and doing cold showers. Now, I've been doing cold showers. Apparently they increase your baseline level of dopamine by 2 times. So I've been doing it, and I found that I'm super motivated. I don't know whether that's dopamine or whether that's adrenaline, but in the mornings I wake up 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I'm having a cold shower, and I'm already making a YouTube video by 5 o'clock. Most people aren't even awake, and I'm super motivated and ready, and I'm taking action. And so I recommend cold showers just because they've helped me as well. And you want to be avoiding activities that will cause a sharp increase in dopamine. So things like social media, drugs and alcohol, those sorts of negative things that are going to cause a huge spike in your levels of dopamine. In this stage, we want to be resetting our healthy level of baseline. So once we've applied these tools, what's the next tool we can use to overcome procrastination? We want to create friction. So what does this mean? It means doing activity we do not like doing. It sounds horrible, but what this does, it causes a huge spike in our levels of dopamine, which then creates a big trough, and that trough creates a big bucket of motivation to go after our desire and actually do the activity we've been procrastinating. Once you do something that's harder than the activity you want to be doing, the next activity that you've been procrastinating on becomes easy. So you're going to pick an activity that makes you cringe. So something like a cold shower, doing meditations, or short intense exercises. Find an activity that makes you cringe and you know you don't want to do it. Not wanting to do it creates that steep peak in dopamine, and that peak eventually has a trough, because that's how dopamine works, and that trough will give you the motivation to then go do the activity that you've been procrastinating on. Now you've got to figure out what tool will be best for you. What makes you cringe? You know you don't want to do it, and you know it'll be harder than the activity that you're procrastinating on. Figure that out Do it every day before you do the activity, and also try and get that healthy level of baseline dopamine. Now, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned how dopamine works and you've got a better insight into how you can use that to overcome your procrastination. You want to figure out what tools you can use to create that trough of dopamine, which then is your bucket of motivation to go take action. And I hope you're applying the tools to reset your baseline level of dopamine to a healthy level of dopamine. Now, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure to subscribe if you did, and I'll see you again in the next video.